warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Hishain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Government mulling over opening the airport for tourists from August. World Health Organization urges not to use malaria drug as a treatment for COVID-19. News in detail. The Committee to Combat the COVID-19 outbreak suggests the President that the airport should be opened for tourists with effect from the 1st of August. Committee members have highlighted the President that not a single positive case was identified from the society after the 30th of April. The Committee to Combat the COVID-19 outbreak met today at the President's office, and the major topic of the meeting was how to rejuvenate the badly devastated tourism industry. The committee members have pointed out President Gotabaya Rajapaksa that the country is being brought back to its normal situation. They also highlighted the President that not a single positive COVID-19 case was identified from the society. Accordingly, they have suggested the President to consider the opening of the airport to foreign travelers with effect from the 1st of August. However, the President has instructed the officials to first follow the guidelines from the international as well as local health officials. The committee has also decided to allow the functioning of the registered hotels and restaurants for in-house dining at the first phase. They also have plans to get the assistance of the Triforces when the country is once ready to operate the other unregistered hotels and restaurants island-wide. Further, they also plan to deploy police personnel who are conversant with foreign languages in the tourist-attracted areas. The island-wide curfew, which was imposed last Sunday and yesterday, was lifted at 4 a.m. today and will be reimposed at 10 p.m. today. Thus, the curfew in high-risk districts to COVID-19, such as Colombo and Gampaha, which spanned for more than 2 months, was lifted today. The government announced that the curfew will be effective only between 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. daily in all the districts in the island from today onwards until further notice. It was announced that the guidelines prescribed by the health authorities to prevent the spread of coronavirus should be strictly followed during the operations of factories, institutes, offices, and shops, as well as public transportation. These guidelines include disinfection, wearing face masks, washing hands from time to time, and maintaining social distance. President's Media Division announcement says that heads of states and private sector entities are free to decide on the number and categories of workers to be called for work in consideration of the nature of the services they provide and health guidelines. The government requests the public to adhere to health recommendations while engaging in their daily activities even after the curfew is relaxed. In the meantime, traveling between districts except in the 2 districts of Colombo and Gampaha was permitted from today. 41 COVID-19 cases have been identified in Sri Lanka yesterday. In the meantime, 24 new COVID-19 cases have been identified for the day as of 6 p.m. today, increasing the total COVID-19 positive cases in Sri Lanka to 1,206. Accordingly, out of the 41 COVID-19 cases reported yesterday, 40 patients are returnees from Kuwait, while the other is a returnee from Dubai. 24 more individuals have tested positive for COVID-19 infection as of 6 p.m. today. 17 cases were identified among individuals who had returned from Kuwait and undergoing mandatory quarantine. With the new cases, the total tally of coronavirus cases identified in the country moves to 1,206. In the meantime, 484 active cases are under medical care, while 712 have recovered from COVID-19. Sri Lanka now has 10 COVID-19 related deaths as a 51-year-old woman who arrived from Kuwait succumbed to the virus yesterday. Subsequently, 1,347 PCR tests have been conducted in the country yesterday, and more than 56,000 tests have been conducted in Sri Lanka so far. Moreover, another 14 inmates left Busa Naval Quarantine Center after quarantine process today. The World Health Organization stresses that the testing of the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine as a potential treatment for coronavirus has been halted due to safety issues. World Health Organization Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus made these observations addressing the COVID-19 press briefing yesterday.
On Friday, the Lancet, as you know, published an observational study on hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine and its effects on COVID-19 patients that have been hospitalized. The authors reported that among patients receiving the drug, when used alone or with a macrolide, they estimated a higher mortality rate. The executive group of the Solidarity Trial, representing 10 of the participating countries, met on Saturday and has agreed to review a comprehensive analysis and critical appraisal of all evidence available globally. The executive group has implemented a temporary pause of hydroxychloroquine arm within the Solidarity Trial while the safety data is reviewed by the Data Safety Monitoring Board.
Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. The Coconut Development Authority also conducted its second online auction via Zoom and said that selling rate was almost 90%. CDA announced that buyers offered 721,165 nuts at the auction and sold 636,893 nuts. The Coconut Development Authority announced that average coconut prices grew by 8.2% to 50,970 rupees for a lot of 1,000 of nuts at an auction last Thursday from 47,098 rupees a week earlier. They also added the increase marked a 2-year high with taxes on imported vegetable oils hiked with import controls. The prices became the highest since April 2018 when the average for the month was 51,806 rupees for 1,000 nuts. At the auction, the highest price was 56,100 rupees for a lot of 1,000 nuts and the lowest was 42,000 rupees at the auction. The auction also took place in a situation where palm oil, close substitute for coconut oil, has been taxed at 350 rupees a kilogram. In the first 2 months of the year, coconut production was estimated at 467 million nuts. However, it was down by 6.7% from a year earlier. The World Health Organization warns that countries could see a second peak of coronavirus cases during the first wave of the pandemic if lockdown restrictions are lifted too soon. In the meantime, the total count of coronavirus cases in the world has surpassed 5.6 million, with more than 347,000 deaths reported. Accordingly, more than 2.3 million patients have recovered from the coronavirus. Nevertheless, more than 19,000 cases have been reported from the US yesterday, and its total count of COVID-19 cases is more than 1.7 million. In the meantime, the US government has imposed new travel restrictions on Brazil, where coronavirus cases have risen sharply in recent days. The White House yesterday added that the restrictions will come in effect from midnight today, not 28th of May as originally planned. The US imposed travel limitations on foreign nationals who have been in Brazil in the last 14 days. Brazil has the second highest number of coronavirus infections, accounting to more than 374,000 and the sixth highest number of deaths in the world. Nevertheless, Brazil says it will not change the recommendation to use hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine against COVID-19 despite the World Health Organization suspending trials of the drug. Brazilian President Bolsonaro has promoted the supposed benefit of the drug against the virus. Subsequently, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announces that all non-essential shops in England will be able to reopen from 15th June. However, the retailers will have to adhere to new guidelines to protect shoppers and workers, the Prime Minister added. UK now has more than 261,000 cases. Subsequently, Japan's Pediatric Association advises parents not to put masks on children under the age of 2 because masks can make breathing difficult and increase the risk of choking. The group also said because children had narrow air passages, their hearts would be put under additional strain by trying to breathe through a mask. Around 2,000 people in Ecuador demonstrated in the capital Quito defying restrictions aimed at combating the virus. Last week, the president in Ecuador announced measures including the closure of some state-owned companies and cuts to public sector salaries. Moreover, Singapore cuts its economic growth projection even further owing to the impact of the coronavirus. Singapore expects the economy to shrink 4 to 7% and are bracing for the worst recession the country has faced in its 55-year history. The Colombo stock market achieved its highest weekly gain last week since 2010 due to the all-share price index rising 8% or 361 points, whilst the more active S&P SL20 index went up by 16%. Equity stockbrokers said total turnover value amounted to Rs 8.5 billion, though marginally lower from Rs 9.6 billion in the previous week. Market capitalization increased by 8.59% to 2,244.08 trillion rupees. Hatton National Bank was the highest contributor to the week's turnover value, contributing to 2.9 billion rupees or 25.94% of total turnover value. Commercial Bank followed, then accounting for 20.61% of turnover, while John Keel's Holdings contributed 1.19 billion rupees to account for 14.79% of the week's turnover. Foreign investors closed the week in a net selling position with a total net outflow amounting to 3.40 billion rupees relative to a net outflow of 3.51 billion rupees a week earlier. Heavy foreign selling was recorded across several key banking stocks ahead of weaker earnings anticipated in the upcoming quarters due to the strain of the COVID-19 pandemic on the sector. In terms of volume, Richard Peres and Axis Engineering led foreign purchases last week, while Expo Lanka and H&B led foreign sales. In terms of value, Lion Brewery and Richard Peres led foreign purchases, while H&B and Sampath Bank led foreign sales. Colombo Stock Exchange was active till 2:30 p.m. today for the extended times as requested by the stakeholders. However, trading ended on a negative note today. Stay tuned for stock updates. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all-share price index dropped 19.67 points to close at 4,780.22, and the S&P SL20 dropped 37.18 points to close at 1,997.20. The turnover was 1 billion rupees and over 52 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. Just before we say goodbye, we have a very special message to you. Do you believe in a world where happiness takes the simplest of forms? Spare 14 seconds of your time to witness happiness sought in the hands of a child. Enjoy, take care, and good night.
You got it, sweetie. Yay! You got it, sweetie.